In a week in wrestling that WWE has changed the venue for WrestleMania, AEW rolls along to Double or Nothing. Will Ospreay, maybe with an opinion or two that we'll get into, and TNA is a departure and some other news from TNA, and of course we crowned a new turnbuckle champion. We will discuss all of that and more on the Hitting a Turnbuckle podcast with me, Adam Cousins, and the problem child returns, Mr. Dave Robinson. Evening, Dave.
Hey mate, how you doing?
You're still alive after being married a few weeks now?
Yeah, it's going well. It's going
Good.
well.
The honeymoon period's still in
Couple
its
of weeks.
face.
Yeah, the honeymoon hasn't actually happened yet.
No.
We had a mini moon last weekend, which was nice. We went up to York for a couple of days, just me and my wife.
Hmm.
But we're going to be booking an actual honeymoon in the summer, or a family moon, as people are calling it. There's all these terms: family moon, mini moon, baby moons, all
Are
these
you taking the
terms.
dog?
No, no, he's not
Oh,
going. He was at the wedding,
yes,
but.
I
uh,
know.
Yeah, he won't be coming on the actual honeymoon.
Damn, that was one of the best parts of the wedding. Me and Rachel seeing the picture of the dog being involved.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so he's the least well-trained dog that you'll ever meet. So I said to the photographer, the extent of his training is he'll sometimes sit. Like that is as good as we're gonna get. And when we asked him to sit for the pictures, he sat. So
Oh
he
God.
stole the show. He was very, very well behaved. He was great. Didn't bark. He had to disappear when the food started coming out, which was the best idea for everyone. 'Cause he's a beagle and he's very, very greedy. But no, he's not coming on the honeymoon. But he won some new admirers at the wedding and the subsequent pictures after.
Brilliant. Well, that is good, and good to see everyone is all well your side. Right, as always in wrestling. I don't think there's ever a quiet week, is there? In the world of wrestling. Look, we'll keep things off with WWE this week. The biggest news, really, from the WWE was moving WrestleMania from New Orleans back to Los Angeles. Only one, I think the song, isn't it? Money on Your Mind. That's a song, I believe, and that seems to be the rationale behind the move. Bit unprecedented. I don't think WWE have ever moved WrestleMania once they've announced it. A, what did you think about that? And B, does this make The Rock even more of a joke than what he has been recently? I mean, he come out done this big thing about Mania coming to New Orleans on SmackDown a month or two ago, for TKO to decide, you know what, we'll go back to Vegas.
Yeah, TKO obviously they are based in Vegas, aren't they? 'Cause that's where they've got their offices. So, but to announce it, I haven't actually read the reason as to why they've switched it. Yeah, just purely money, not ticket sales. Because I'm assuming tickets have
Haven't gone
started
on sale yet for
for next
WrestleMania.
year.
They don't go on sale till like November.
Okay. Okay, I thought bits and pieces might have started being released, like hospitality packages and stuff. But that's very, very disappointing for fans in New Orleans.
Mm.
And as you say, if it was announced there and promised there, and there's been no real explanation as to changing it, um, yeah, purely financial from the sound of it.
Yeah, well, it definitely seems that way. Um, Before we get into some, obviously, the little bits that happen on Saturday night's main event, I'll talk about that briefly, and then we'll revert back to it. So, at the end of Saturday night's main event, they made John Cena come out. He tried to cost Jey Uso the championship. Cody Rhodes returned. Jey Uso won the champion. Jey Uso, sorry, retained the championship. And then Cody made a challenge for Money in the Bank, and that match is John Cena, Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. There was rumors that Travis Scott was going to be involved in this in one way or another, and that perhaps could lead to Bad Bunny coming back to the WWE to be involved in making it a six person. Is the WWE now kind of saying we would rather stars of the outside world coming in? Are they prioritizing them over wrestling and the wrestlers?
Yeah, it seems. I mean, you watch a WWE show now, and everything is sponsored. There's so many commercials, there's so many crossovers. From a business point of view, can't really criticize it.
Mm.
They're making more money than ever. Um, but does it detract from the product? As a purist or as a wrestling fan, that's the most important thing, the quality of the wrestling in the show. I don't know. I just look at it when I watch it, I'm just I just try and enjoy it as what it is, a very different presentation to some of the other promotions, the most successful promotion of all time. And who am I to criticize the business nous? I think we're going to see more and more of it, particularly with TK. I'm surprised we haven't had anything with UFC significant yet, have
Mm.
we? In
No.
terms of like a joint show or something like that. I did anticipate that once the announcement was made for the merger, that would be something that we'd see at the Sphere. Is it in?
Yeah.
It's in Vegas as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they run a show. WWE run a show from the Sphere, but they run the first Netflix show, wasn't it? From the
Yeah. So yeah, I anticipate more and more, to be honest. The difficulty will be is in wrestling we've had hot periods in wrestling in the past and ups and downs, and when they do reach a kind of down period where you could coming out of WrestleMania 41, it certainly wasn't the hot product it was coming out of WrestleMania 40. But how does that affect everything? So if they start losing fans and the attendances start to drop and the ratings start to drop, um, how are those collaborations then to blame? Or,
Mm.
a lot of people are annoyed about Travis Scott, and I don't know if getting him more involved is going to be a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, is that the rumor then that it could well be a trio match?
Yeah, they've announced. Well, yeah, they kind of come out the other week and said that Travis Scott will be competing in a match. They never really, they didn't say it was Money in the Bank. They didn't say it was
Yeah.
this particular match, but on all intents and purposes, Travis Scott will be having a match in the WWE in this year anyway, at least.
Yeah. And if the story is good, if it's getting heat as well, like genuine, not just turn off the TV heat, like people just don't want to see it. As in, if it's getting a real visceral reaction and it can be weaved into a story, then I'm all for that. I'm not dead against it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see just how many of these collaborations we get and the general reactions to them. Um, I still think we'll be seeing The Rock at some point. Sure, I know we expected that at WrestleMania. So the
Mm.
fact that he wasn't there would make you think what, but surely him beating Cody last year in that tag match, the whole taking his soul, the whole Cena turn, we've got to see The Rock sooner or later back in the squared circle.
We should do. I know he's been cast in another movie, so I don't know when that will be. Is he? Because obviously after WrestleMania, he come out and he basically just said that it was everything's all a work and like yada yada yada. And I
Yeah.
know well from the rumors, and we don't know this for me and you don't know it factually anyway. But there's been a lot of rumors saying that the people backstage in WWE and the wrestlers in the WWE are kind of looking at him as a bit of a joke now because of everything that's been going on. Is he, is that kind of something where he could potentially turn into this, well, a joke, really?
He could either, yeah, just really drop off the face of the earth and just have very little involvement on screen, given what's happened, or they could go the other way with it. He could be a real authority figure on screen. He could be hated. He could be pulling the strings. There's obviously more to what they hoped to achieve with Cena
Hmm.
that just hasn't played out. And I know he came out on Pat McAfee's show and said, hey, he wasn't needed and it was over to the wrestlers and the final boss's work was done. But I'm not buying that, to be honest. I don't think many people are. Um, Again, moving things to Vegas next year, is that because The Rock might be at next year's WrestleMania? Is that where we're going to get Cody and The Rock? Um, yeah, a lot a lot could happen between now and then. But I think The Rock, given his position on the board, Um, I think as long as his relationship with Triple H stays good, then he'll be involved in some capacity on screen for a while yet.
Yeah, we'll wait and see on that. And my final question before we start moving on to some of the results on this. Is this a time now? Because there's a lot of disgruntled fans out there in the WWE. That it really is. And is this a time, do you think, for perhaps AEW to try and capitalize on what seems to be a bit of a fragile situation at the moment with the WWE and its fans?
I think AEW really have got to keep doing what they have been doing for much of 2025. I think they went through a real difficult period, which didn't like instantly affect things. That, we go back a couple of years. We got the CM Punk situation.
Mhm.
We got purchasing Ring of Honor. Um, we've got, you know, a number of talent acquisitions that didn't really go as well as possible. Some of them subsequently have gone back to WWE. Some of the homegrown guys felt a little bit, pushed out.
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't for all of that, there was nothing that happened instantly. It was over a period of time. And I think 2025, they've really started to put a lot of that behind them.
Mm.
Um, I've liked the fact that they're not kind of challenging WWE or calling them out or making moves like booking arenas and booking places that were just to kind of rub WWE's nose in it. And for a while it was all good and they couldn't put a foot wrong and they was doing um, big ratings, they were selling a lot of tickets. But then when that started to fade a bit, it did make them look a bit, I don't know, a bit stupid to a degree. Um, so I would hope AEW keep capitalizing on what they've done so far this year. We've still got a lot of kind of dream matches and big matches to work to. We got some good ones at Double or Nothing, but I think All In, I think Forbidden Door is set to be a phenomenal show, and I like the fact that Osprey has already mentioned Forbidden Door, even though it's not happening till August. I like that these seeds are being sown early. I think that is consistent with a lot of the stories that have been told. I don't think we've had as much. There has been elements of it, like last minute matches and stuff
Mm.
like that. I mean, there was a couple of matches announced on Collision for Double or Nothing, so there's still some of those traits which I don't necessarily like happen from time to time, but not in the main event scene, and not, there's a lot of good storytelling. There's been a lot to build on, so I think the uncertainty with WWE, um, in some respects helps AEW, but I don't think they should concentrate too much on what's going wrong for WWE at the minute. I think they just need to concentrate on what's been going right for them.
Exactly that, and and hopefully don't fall into the WWE's trap of ticket pricing either. For those people that don't know, you should need.
Yeah, I think Forbidden Door, I think there's some very reasonably priced tickets available. I think you can pick up a ticket for 30 quid, which is, even going back 20 years, 30 quid wasn't bad for a ticket to a wrestling show. So yeah, I think they need to do a bit more of that. I think WWE should do more of that as well. I mean, some of the rumored price. I don't know if you saw Randy Orton's reaction when he was
Yeah,
told about some of the
yeah,
ticket prices. Um, I don't know how some people can afford to do it. And when you factor in the merch, the travel, accommodation, flights for a lot of people, particularly in the States,
yeah.
it's not cheap being a wrestling fan. So yeah, I think WWE could reward their loyal audience with some more competitively priced tickets.
All they care about, my man, is announcing it's the highest grossing event. And for one reason, it's the highest grossing event because the ticket prices and your merch are ridiculously expensive. That's why it's
Yeah. And you know what, mate, when business is good and everybody, that's great. But if they're not careful, um, like we were just talking about with AEW, it's not always like an instant effect. It's not the ticket prices now. Is if people are getting disgruntled and stuff, they're probably not going to notice for the next few weeks, months, and even the next year. People's plans are in place. People may have already purchased tickets, but there will be a point where, if things do go that way, you could be seeing in 2027, a bit of a downturn, and some of that could be because of ticket pricing and stuff like that. So you have to be careful and you have to think long term.
Yeah, I mean, they could end up doing what's kind of the things that, what we saw in AEW, and fans were taking pictures of a half-empty arena.
Yeah,
And that's not because AEW didn't sell it, it's because they didn't put those tickets on sale. But there's, the point of the matter is if WWE keep trying to price fans out of it, then eventually they'll see sense, you would
yeah.
hope, and not
I
go.
suppose they've had the wherewithal. They've been taking the product around the world, haven't they? They've did a lot of. I mean, they've always done European tours, always um, been a worldwide promotion. But in terms of the live shows, the pay-per-views, the premium live events, the Raws, the SmackDowns, and the frequency of the traveling, so they are kind of squeezing every penny out. But it will get to a point where they'll be going back to these places, and if the tickets are astronomical, the fans will be a bit okay. Maybe not this one. We'll wait till they come back next time and see if the tickets have gone down. So there can be a knock-on effect. I'm no expert, but I've watched wrestling for long enough to know that there's these ups and downs and these good periods and these the bad periods. And WWE has been doing great for the last few years under Triple H's stewardship, but it's not guaranteed to always stay like that.
No, it certainly isn't. We'll find out what happens with that in the future, as you say. Right. Money in the Bank was the precedent this week. Obviously, the qualifiers have been going on. It's in a couple of weeks, weekends' time. From the men's side of things right now, LA Knight and Solo Sikoa qualified on SmackDown. I think that was quite a surprising one to there, considering I think Nakamura was in with LA Knight in LA Knight's one. So I was a little bit surprised. There was another one, I can't remember the other guy that was in it. Apologies. But I was quite surprised. Anyway, that LA Knight qualified for the Money in the Bank. Solo Sikoa has qualified as well, like I mentioned. But they did state there is more coming up on Raw tomorrow. Sami Zayn will take on Finn Balor, will take on Seth Rollins, and Chad Gable will take on Dragon Lee and Penta. And then on SmackDown, and I think this completes the field. This week. There is going to be a triple threat match. I think it's Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, and there's one other. Just bear with me while I find the name of the person on my notes. I need to have. Oh, Jacob Fatu is the other triple threat.
That's an interesting one.
Indeed. Who's your favorite out of those two? Who would you choose? So.
Who's the second one? Andrade, Jacob Fatu, and who was the third man?
Carmelo, the Miz basically put him forward. But in terms of the men, so you got Solo, you got LA Knight qualified at the moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, on Raw this week, you've got the Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor match, and you've also got the Dragon Lee, Penta, and Chad Gable. If you add that to that SmackDown match,
Yeah.
pick a winner of the men's Money in the Bank right now.
I think Rollins.
You got it. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Given everything that's going on at the top of the card and the group and adding Bronson Reed, I think I could absolutely see it being Steph and not necessarily a cash in. I mean, he's got one of the most famous cash ins of all time. Um, but I definitely think that they're positioning him to be in that top position and to have gold around his waist before the year's out.
Yeah, you mentioned the group there. Let's just quickly talk about that. Saturday night's main event, they added a third man. I thought it was going to be Sami Zayn. I thought he was going to turn on CM Punk. It didn't turn out to be that way. It turned out to be Bronson Reed. Now, two thoughts went across my mind when that happened. One, excellent, because Bronson Reed aligning with Paul Heyman, love that with Braun Breaker. That was the good bit. But then I thought the last time we saw Bronson Reed, he tried to kill Seth Rollins. He hit him with about 68 tsunamis. So from my point is, well, they're going to have to cover this on Raw surely tomorrow because you can't. If it was years ago, I could understand it. Dust has settled. This wasn't that long ago that all of that happened. So surely they're going to have to come up with a plan as to why Seth chose Bronson.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will because in days gone by, the Vince McMahon era of WWE, they probably wouldn't have mentioned it and hope that fans like yourself just wouldn't bring it up. But that's not the way. Triple H seems to have a bit more respect for his audience, and it was mentioned. I don't know if it was on commentary And then Seth Rollins kind of embraced Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would be, they'll be able to, between Heyman and Rollins, they'll be able to weave something that makes sense. Whether it's a case of after what this man did to me, if there was an opportunity to get him in this group, then we had to like let the water go under the bridge and build bridges essentially between each of us. So I think I think it's great. My reaction was the same as your initial reaction. I think it's a good fit. Yeah, there is a bit of explaining to do. But I think moving forward, Seth Rollins, alongside Braun and Bronson, with Paul Heyman, not only helping them on the microphone, but obviously spending a lot of time with them, off camera and behind the scenes. I think that's just going to be a good thing for their careers. And they haven't got a group name, have they, at the minute, as far as I know? So I think that might be something that gets implemented because I think that will be the finished group now. I don't anticipate it'll be more of a faction than what it is. I think that is the group. It sets them up quite nicely for singles, tag, and trios matches. Yeah, I really like it, but as you say, on Raw, hopefully they will address it and give us an adequate explanation.
I'd hope so. But if you're Seth, does this show you where WWE is seeing their future with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker as part of that?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, I think they're huge. I think Bron Breakker is a definite world champion. I wouldn't say that, uh, you know, Bronson Reed could also be. I think Bron would be earlier. I could see that happening earlier for for Bron, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely think that they've got a huge future in the company. I think the company thinks a lot of them. I mean, the presentation of Bronson Reed since he's been back in WWE prior to the injury has been pretty good
Mm.
overall. And I think now he's aligned with Rollins. I can't see him losing many matches. I can't see the faction losing many matches, to be honest. I think they'll be running Monday Night Raw for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, me too. And I'm agreeing with you. I think Rollins wins and potentially cashes in the following night
How do you
because
think?
the following night on Raw, Jey Uso will take on Gunther in a WrestleMania rematch. And I think that's quite fitting if they're going to do it. I think Rollins may cash in then.
Do you think he'd cash in on Gunther or do you think he'd cash in on Jay?
Oh no, Jay. Yeah, he won't be. He won't be
Jay
cashing
retain.
in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how I feel anyway. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Just quick one before we move on to the women. What did you make of WWE changing Jeff Cobb's name to JC Mateo?
Yeah, I haven't, I don't know the reasoning. I would say unnecessary.
Hmm,
Um, because they
agreed.
called him Jeff Cobb on when he debuted.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't, and that's his name. And I also, I don't think anybody in New Japan or anyone else are gonna kind of take umbrage with the with Jeff Cobb using the Jeff Cobb name. So I don't like JC Mateo. I wish they hadn't have done that. It's not as bad as Butch, but yeah, it just kind of needless. I don't know. You kind of I don't know. In this era of wrestling, they talk more about the past of the wrestlers, and it's we've got it at the minute with TNA. We've got the TNA title being defended for the first time at Battleground. We've had a lot of they've talked about Penta being a former TNA champion. Um, you
Didn't
know,
mention him as an AEW tag team champion, though,
no,
did
they didn't. No.
they?
But yeah, Jeff Cobb has been around wrestling for a long, long time. He's a very experienced pro wrestler. So to just try and give him a bit of a I don't know what Mateo, I don't know what relevance that has to anything.
Fuck knows.
They could have just stuck with Jeff Cobb.
I don't mind them calling him JC. I mean that's fine, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't just why the Mateo? Um,
idiots,
I,
idiots.
I just yeah, that was it's a very Vince thing to do.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Um, and it's not like he's in a mask or he's like he's gonna
Jeff Cobb.
it's Jeff Cobb.
It's
So.
Jeff Cobb.
Yeah,
Simple.
he's competed in New Japan. He's competed in AEW. He's competed all over the Indies, all over the world as Jeff Cobb. I think it's a little bit late in the day. I mean, he's 40-ish, 42 maybe, somewhere
Yeah.
around that. It's a bit late in the day to change his name um, and pretend that he's this new. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's just a quick one on that TNA thing. Rumor has it Joe Hendry is dropping the TNA championship tonight against
Okay.
Trick Williams, and Mike Santana is there at Battleground. And the rumor is, again, this is just a rumor. I don't know this for factual. Is that Mike Santana will eventually take the title off Trick Williams, potentially at like a Bound for Glory or something like that, and become the TNA champion. And Joe Hendry will just go to WWE because that's pretty much what's going to happen this year. He's in his calendar year, as they say, as
Yeah, yeah. I suppose I thought with it being the first time that it's happened, I thought Joe might retain.
he may do.
But yeah, I could see that as well. I think Joe Hendry being on the main roster is just an absolute formality. You know that, as you say, that's gonna. It's not going to be a long. He's not going to be holding his title this time next year. I think at some point this year is definitely going to drop. It may well be tonight.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll be back tomorrow with Double or Nothing, so we could probably just drop it in at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
point. The women's one just quickly so far: Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Roxanne Perez, and Julia have qualified for the Money in the Bank. I don't know any other matches that have been announced, and apologies if they have. I haven't written them down. Out of those, who would you select at that point?
I think Rhea jumps off the page. But I mean, I like Julia. Um, to be honest, I really like the women's division in WWE at the minute. Well, I like women's wrestling in general. I think both companies are doing a really, really good job with the women, implementing some of the best talent from the Indies, best talent from Japan. Again, they're both kind of at it, very, very competitive. Stephanie Vaquer against Jordan Grice is going to be an absolute banger. Stephanie herself, had options to sign wherever she wanted, and I think the women as well as the men having these opportunities is just what we've been calling for years. So, um, but it's hard to look past Rhea. Tell me the other names again, mate.
So, hang on. I would also let you know there is a women's Money in the Bank qualifier next week on SmackDown. Nia Jax versus Naomi versus Jade Cargill is the other one. So you've got the winner of that against Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Julia, or Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed with any of them, to be honest. Perhaps not Alexa.
Oh, that's my
Um,
pick.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't massively surprise. I'd probably prefer them go with someone like Roxanne or Julia, someone up if they weren't going to go with the person that I'm automatically drawn to, which is Rhea. But yeah, I think both the Money in the Bank matches should be great. Given the talent that we know that's in the matches and the ones that will get added. I don't think there's anything that could make the matches worse, or that they're only going to improve by some of the additions in those qualifiers. So yeah, if I'm gonna put my neck out, I am gonna go with Roxanne.
Okay, interesting one. We'll see. I mean, there may be another, no, but there may be at least one more woman's money. I don't know. That would be five if you count, so they may have another one. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see next week. Just wanted to quickly touch Triple R Worlds Collide, Triple R NXT, well, the Triple R and WWE first match been announced. It's live on YouTube, which means 4,000 commercials for everybody that wants to watch it. June 7th. Vikingo Chad Gable.
Yeah, that's that could be a match of the year. Um, Genuinely, I really believe that. I think for anyone kind of who hasn't seen much of Vikingo, he's like no wrestler you've ever seen before, which is high kind of praise. But he is a sensational talent. Uh, I mean, his match against Kenny Omega was off the charts a couple of years ago. Um, a wrestler like Chad Gable, I mean, it's the perfect match, to be honest, for me, for what they could have done. With all the wrestlers they have available across WWE, NXT, TNA, and Triple R, I think Chad Gable against Vikingo, I think that's a masterstroke. I don't know what you feel, mate, but I genuinely believe that could be a match of the year candidate.
Mate, I'll be happily to watch 3,000 adverts during YouTube for this. I think, again, seeing Vikingo in AEW, I've seen some of his Triple R stuff. putting him in there with. I mean, listen, you could put Chad Gable in there with this, and it would be, unbelievable. It's going to be incredible. I think you're right. I think, potentially match of the year.
What's exciting for me is, I've seen Vikingo in these matches, and the match against Kenny, it's a bit of a spot fest.
Hmm.
It was an incredible match, and I'm not backtracking. But there wasn't really much story going into it. If they can set something up and, as WWE does, and uh, layer it a little bit more, I know we're kind of getting close to it, and you've got the El Grande Americano that you're a huge
Yeah.
fan of. Um, But I just think there's something they can do story-wise as well that what will be a phenomenal match will be even more invested coming off the back of it
Hmm.
because of the potential that it could lead to. Um, yeah, I can't wait for that, mate. That was a show that for me, I would have checked it out as a fan and out of the intrigue of WWE acquiring Triple R. But that is a can't miss match for me now. It's a can't miss show. Like you say, here in the UK, I don't know if that's the because I think it was on NBC in the States, wasn't it? Saturday Night Main Event, but
Yeah.
the viewing experience on YouTube was very frustrating with the
Yeah.
amount of adverts, and then even not watching it live and trying to skip, then you get the inbuilt YouTube adverts, and I know if you can pay and you can avoid that, but yeah, not exactly the Triller experience we're used to, which
No.
we might not be used to for much longer. Hearing
Yeah.
the rumors on Triller's financial difficulties as well, but yeah, hopefully we just don't get any commercials during the match.
Yeah, I'd switch it off if they do
Yeah.
that. I can't be handled that. Just quickly before we move on to TNA, Evolution 2 has been announced. WWE
Yeah.
that weekend, all in Atlanta, Georgia. The next Saturday night's main event. Now, the next Saturday night's main event in Georgia, it coincidentally is the same day as All In, which surprises nobody. But the rumor is on that one as well that it's going to be Goldberg's retirement match on there, plus the all women's pay-per-view on the Sunday. So something to look forward to in that sense, Dave. But it could be the Evolution one could be interesting though.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that more than the first one. The first one, as much as I was quite happy for them to give it a go and to try it,
Mm,
they just didn't have the breadth of talent and personalities that they've got now. I think it could be an absolutely awesome show if they combine some of the NXT women,
mhm.
some of the main roster. There's a spot for people like
Triple R.
Trish and Lita and Triple R. Yeah, I think that could be a really, really good show. And I don't know how well the first show was received from like an in-ring perspective. I don't think it was particularly great in terms of the feedback. I don't think many rational wrestling fans begrudged them of it. You
Mm,
know, I think many of us were like, yeah, okay. They're probably earned an all-women show. Particularly like some of the work, some of the like, is
yeah.
it Go, is it, and Stardom, and some of the other companies that have done so much work with women's wrestling. So it was due on the main stage for them to get it, but I just think that the quality of the matches in the in ring is going to be so much better for the second one. So yeah, I think that could be a really good show. And in terms of Goldberg, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That best with that.
I would rather. I mean, I don't think he's going to get what Sting got in AEW. I don't think
No, sir. No way.
the WWE way of doing it. I mean, you look at Kurt Angle, you look at a few others, which
Lita.
I would have rather Kurt Angle not gone out the way he did. So perhaps be careful what you wish for. I don't know. It's good. It's I, if he was putting Gunther over or something like that, or a Big E, or just someone that could benefit from it longer term by retiring Goldberg or having Goldberg's last match, then I would be more understanding. But I mean, what's he gonna do? What what's it gonna be? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, be careful what you wish for. It might not go exactly as he had pictured it.
Maybe not. I just want a quick, and I don't mean to sound tribalistic or anything, or set up a tribalistic war when I say this, but there is a lot of people out there that are kicking off. AEW fans sort of slating WWE for putting the Saturday night's main event on the same time as All In, and all of that stuff. But isn't part of being competition, and competition's exactly what Tony Khan called it, by the way. I'm not saying that he wanted to be competition to WWE. That's what he said. So
Yeah.
is that not just WWE saying, well, come on then, let's have this competition by putting a show on the same time as the show that their biggest show of the year?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with it. I mean, I think all the wrestling companies should see each other as competition. I think
Yeah.
there's definitely healthy opportunities to work together, like a lot of them are doing, and have always done, to be honest.
Yeah.
We've had collaborations between wrestling companies for decades. Um, I think they look at what the others are doing and what's working and what's not working, and put their own spin on things. I've got no problem with them going head to head on nights. I mean, for me, that would just push me if I was in the WWE or if I was in AEW to go out there and have the best match of the night and make you the number one, because it's not as if the fans aren't going to see both shows. Like big wrestling fans, it's not one or the other. They'll see both shows. They might watch one live and one after, or
Yep.
there'll be some people at one show and they'll have the other one streaming on the phone. As crazy as wrestling fans are.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't see it. I don't see it as a problem, mate. I think having the variety, having multiple companies doing well and pushing each other and having shows on the same night, I think that's good for wrestling. I think, you look at WrestleMania weekend, how many companies put shows on WrestleMania
Through
weekend
one.
because it's WrestleMania weekend. I know not necessarily at the same time, but the same towns, the same weekend. They're surfing off the buzz of WrestleMania, aren't they?
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think WWE have got anything to answer for. I don't know how much they think about it, to be honest. I don't know how much factors into their decision of doing it or not. I don't know whether it's an opportunity for them to have a little dig, or whether they don't care and they're going to do it anyway because that's the way they run their business. But I think as wrestling fans, you know, the more options, the better. The more competition, the better.
Yeah, exactly that. We'll get on AEW in a minute. First two bits of TNA news. The first one is a bit of a weird one. So now TNA. Now, last week they said they had banned perfusive blood. If you saw the dog collar match between Macklin and Eric Young, so they've kind of sort of lowered down that bit. You need approval, which listen, I'm not a big fan of bleeding for the sake of bleeding. If it's a story and it matters that's kind of there's something behind it, I'm great with it. I can deal with it. And so I understand that one. This week, without approval now, so you need approval to slap somebody, and you need approval to do a throat slash in TNA at the minute. Is that just a little bit too far for needing approval for?
Yeah, I mean we've heard these things come out of different promotions over the years, what's banned, what has to be approved, what certain wrestlers can do and what others can't, and this, that, and the other. So um it's quite specific though, isn't it? A slap and a throat
Throat
slash.
slash, yeah.
Um yeah, you would think in all of the big companies, WWE, AEW, TNA, that the producers are pretty much responsible for at least 80% of the match. Um, I don't know how much matches are 100% planned and how much they call it in the ring, brother. Um, but so any kind of slaps or anything kind of like that, it's going to be part. I mean, what I think of straight away is what they've been doing with Ricochet and the bald head slap. That's obviously something that has been built in to his matches, as a little bit of a comedy moment, or it's getting a bit of a reaction from the crowd. Um, so I don't know where the blood I understand, because as you say,
Yeah.
if I would imagine, um, if stuff like that isn't addressed, then you can get the wrestlers going out and trying to one up each other, and you'd have blood in every match, and suddenly it just doesn't mean everything. I know they,
Yeah.
probably not giving them enough credit there. That they're intelligent people, they would know that, but there needs to be some kind of guidelines and some kind of restrictions, and like this is going on in this match. So to make that as effective as we possibly can make it, we don't want that going on in other matches. Um, so that goes without saying, but yeah, in terms of the slap in the throat. absolutely. I don't understand that, to be honest. I don't know where that's come from. Maybe we'll get some more on that at some point.
Yeah, bonkers is what I call it. Uh,
Yeah,
Absolute bonkers. Right. Second piece of TNA news is actually a departure. I did cover this on the TNA review, but it's good to talk to you. Ace Austin has departed TNA, which was a bit of a shock to me in many respects. In some respects, I kind of felt like since Chris Bay got injured, and by the way, speedy recovery to Zoe Stark on Raw. It looked pretty nasty
bad one.
from R1. So speedy recovery to Zoe. Since the Chris Bay injury, he's kind of been floating around. He teamed with the Hardys. That's now seemingly Leon Slater's thing. He's done a little bit here and there. He was never sort of in a feud type thing. He just kind of was floating around. So when he had a great match with Mustafa Ali this past week, which would appear to be his final match in TNA. Bit of a surprise. He's already been announced from Maple Leaf Wrestling from Scott D'Amore. No surprise there. He's a Scott D'Amore boy. But Ace Austin's the one with an incredible future and extremely talented. But right now, Dave, to be honest, when I look at the rosters, and this isn't a hit at Ace, this is just how good the rosters are everywhere. I don't see a place where he could fit in. Maybe NXT potentially, but I don't see anywhere else that where I could see him making a quote unquote impact.
Yeah, so interesting. I know you mentioned Ospreay's comments in the intro.
Mm,
Um, he kind of said that in terms of the WWE releases as well as any other releases, um, kind of go out there on the indies and prove yourself, improve the shows of the smaller companies
yeah.
and make a real name for yourself. Don't just expect to walk into AEW. Um, so yeah, Ace Austin for me going to Maple Leaf. If he was going to WWE or NXT, I wouldn't have expected him to leave TNA as such
Mm,
because they're
true.
kind of the collaboration. So it suggests to me he's not going to be there because if he was going to go to NXT, then they could have built that into a story, or
Mhm.
yeah, there would be no need to announce that he's left TNA. So I think exactly what Will Ospreay suggested what may well happen with Ace Austin, and he will do the Indies. Similar to Speedball, Speedball worked everywhere. He went all over the world,
Yeah.
had some killer matches, had some real strong performances everywhere he went. And now he's winded up in AEW and he's hit the ground running. And I don't think, and we'll get to predictions, I don't think he's going to be the next Continental Champion, but he's in a big match against Okada on what is arguably AEW's biggest show of the year. So I think if he would have just left and gone straight to AEW, um, I don't think he would have had that. I know he was working collaboratively with other companies at the same time he was at TNA. But Ace Austin pretty much has been a TNA uh, wrestler on the whole for a while, hasn't he? So um, yeah, I don't see him walking into AEW anytime soon or anywhere else. I think he'll be on the Indies.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Best of luck to Ace Austin, by the way. Right, let's get into. Oh, just quickly, I did mention that we did crown a new turnbuckle champion last Sunday. A Luna defeating Mark True. Finally, one pain in the ass has left me. But Luna, congratulations. Your first opponent will be announced soon. It is someone from your Ignite past. So I would say yet now you were the what's it, the hunter. You're now the hunted. Your target is on your back. I have no doubt that you will represent hitting the turnbuckle with prestige and honor. And it was also announced during the last Ignite show, by the way, if you haven't seen it when it hits YouTube, check out the last man standing match between Taylor James and Jack Torino. It was absolutely incredible. But I did announce that in September the 21st, buckle up free. The Ignite Wrestling hitting the turnbuckle will cross the line with TNA during that show at some point. Card subject to change. We always have to say that when we're bringing in an international import, pretty much because obviously contractual commitments can change. We are 3 or 4 months away from Z event. So as it stands, we'll be bringing somebody in from TNA. More on that probably in July when we're a little bit closer to event time. But now AEW. Before we get on to predictions for Double or Nothing, Dave, I did mention a certain Will Ospreay. The comments you mentioned there, but there was also another comment that he made, and this may have been maybe the week before. So I know they've been doing snippets of interviews that he's been doing, and he said in an interview, and this is a quote from Will Ospreay: "AEW is better than WWE in every single department."
I didn't hear that, so I don't know the context, um, whether that was something that he said kind of in character or not. But um, I think I think he's just trying to defend the company there and just trying to wave the flag for the company. I don't think it's like a tribalistic comment. I might be wrong, as I haven't heard it. Um, I think there are certain things about AEW that are better than WWE. I think there's certain things about WWE that are better than AEW, but I think I enjoy both products. So I don't think, I mean, what was your opinion? Did you hear those comments or did you read those comments or how did you take it?
I did hear the comments from Will. I'm going to just try and bring them up and just give you an idea of what he said, and just to give you an idea. But look, the way I see it from a wrestling standpoint, if I was going in to watch wrestling, which you generally do, right? That's the whole point in watching wrestling. I would agree with him. I think from a wrestling standpoint, bell to bell, if I was, I would say that AEW does beat WWE. From he said AEW smokes them in every field of wrestling.
Okay.
He
Yeah, so
said,
I think,
mate, and then he just said, then he elaborated, mate, we're just better. He goes, I
okay.
respect them. I respect every single one of them. They're all vets. They know what they're doing. They're great at their job. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying. I guys smoke them every single day of the week. They've got good guys like Gunter. They've got great guys like Orton. They've got Chad Gable. I respect all of them. But on our worst day, they smoke all of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. I would much rather watch AEW match star matches, but the storytelling and the art of wrestling, some of the guys like Orton, um, and I know he's mentioned Orton there by name.
Mm.
Um, you could never see an Orton working in AEW. Um, I mean, he could, but he's not the name you think of when you think of like AEW's product and their in-ring and some of the multi-man matches. That's just not the style of wrestling that Randy Orton. But Randy Orton over the years has been one of the absolute greats, and he's still going out there and you know. So I think people like Randy, I don't speak for Randy, would take offense by that, because the WWE product is very good. At the time, they've had some great matches. I don't know. I don't know. That's a difficult. I anticipate one day that Will Ospreay will be in the WWE. I
Really?
think that will happen. Yeah, yeah. I don't think he's trying to burn bridges. I think he's just trying to wave the flag for AEW. I think he's probably going to be the next AEW World Champion, and he's just doing what he can to. I don't know. I don't know if he's being particularly, if he's trying to strike up like the tribal argument and stuff. But you read stuff like that, and if I was a staunch WWE fan, I would get quite defensive. But
Mm.
if I was a WWE wrestler, I would be quite defensive. But if that's just Will Ospreay working the media and just stirring a little bit of controversy up, that wouldn't surprise me necessarily. But yeah, interesting because yeah, I love the AEW product, but to say they smoke them in every department in ring, I don't necessarily agree with that.
No, that's kind of my aspect. I agree with you. Right, let's finalize Double or Nothing prediction show. As of course, the next time we're here on the channel is tomorrow for the Double or Nothing review. So, what better way to end this fun show with the predictions? I'm going to do it in order as of Wikipedia, as of 9 o'clock on a Sunday evening, just a few hours ahead of Double or Nothing. The first match on this list is Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus Anna Jay and Harley Cameron. Dave, who do you think wins that?
I think Megan Bayne wins that. I know
Megan
it's
and
a tag
Penelope.
match, but I think Megan Bayne is, yeah, the what do they call her? The Megasis. I think,
Megasis, yes.
yeah, I think she'll be picking the victory up over Harley, which is a shame in some respects. Harley was getting a lot of momentum, and that seems to have waned a little bit in recent weeks. Um, she was somebody that I thought could definitely not necessarily beat Mercedes, but somebody that could have been a women's or a TBS champion at some point. So maybe, that can be reignited and she can get back to where she was a couple of months ago. But in regards to this match, I think the Megasis and Penelope win.
Megan Bayne just screamed, and I don't mean this horribly to AEW, but she screams WWE in her look from a
Well,
perspective.
it's like we said about Jade a few years ago, is somebody you could definitely see there. But um, I think she had a promising start.
Mhm.
Um, Always difficult when they have a promising start and then they're put into a world title match pretty soon.
Yeah, didn't like that.
Particularly when Tony Storm was, he's
The
one of the
first
most,
defense,
well, it was
like
the first
winning back.
defense. He's one of the most compelling characters in wrestling. So she was put in a real difficult spot. I mean, that experience and being in that feature match may serve her well long term. Um, but I think they may have done better keeping her away from that world title scene so early on in her run. Um, but yeah, I think she'll still be the one to pick up the victory at the event tonight.
Yep, definitely. I agree with that. I'm not sure if that's going. Oh, it's preliminary, so it's probably a dark match. Bearing in
Yeah,
mind, there's 10 matches that's been announced as of Wikipedia. If there's more, I apologize. I'm just going by what I see on here. Owen Hart Women's Final. The winner obviously earns a Championship opportunity at All In. It is Jamie Hayter, Mercedes Moné. I believe this is going to be Mercedes, right?
yeah, I think so, mate. I think so. Which out of all the matches on the card, this is one. There's two that I feel could be an upset, and I think Jamie Hayter beating Mercedes would certainly be an upset. But as the TBS title isn't on the line, and it is the tournament final, there is a way they could do this, which could take us to Tony Storm against Jamie Hayter,
Mhm.
which would then tie into the injury angle, which I know seemed a long time ago, but it was the Outcast, wasn't it, that took out Jamie Hayter in the story. So
Yeah.
something that can do there, but I also believe that Mercedes against Tony Storm is one of the biggest matches they can put on for All In. Not necessarily title versus title,
No.
winner takes all, or I don't think they'd do a like a what's the word when they combine the two belts?
Unification.
Unification. I don't think they'd do a unification match. They could do a winner takes all type match, or they could do it for one of the titles. So this one I'm not sure on, but I am going to go with Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mercedes. Just quickly going back to the first match, I think Tay Mello may return at the end of that potentially.
Yeah, would you see Anna turning on Harley and Tay
No,
doing?
I don't think so. I think that she could just come out and maybe not say even the odds, but the Megasis is like two, isn't it? They could just be beating.
Okay, so they could have the match, and then in a post-match beatdown, Tay Mello comes out to make
Yeah.
the save. Yeah, I could see that as well.
Yeah. Mercedes Monet for me wins the next one. AEW Tag Team Championships, the Hurt Syndicate against the Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes, and Sammy Guevara. The Hurt Syndicate can't lose this.
No, they can't. I think this is an absolute given. Hope it's not a squash match. Sammy's very talented, and I don't know. Over the years, he's kind of rose through the ranks. We've seen him as TNT champion. We've seen him in the world title scene. Um, it's definitely a bit of a relegation, if you like, for him to be in a tag team. Um, I think if this match was happening at all in Texas, there would have been a little bit more
Hmm.
intrigue around it, just where it is and the fact that they're called the Sons of Texas. But in terms of Double or Nothing, quite rightly as well, even if I can't think of another team on the roster that I would want to beat the Hurt Syndicate at the minute. I'm really enjoying the stuff they're doing. I'm enjoying the MJF stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure to begin with. It seemed fairly obvious where it was going in terms of Max joining, but I quite like the way they got there. And yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff to come, but they're not losing those titles anytime soon.
No, I agree with that. AEW Women's World Championship, Tony Storm, Mina, that's what I'm going to say. On this one, it's
Ina
late in.
Shirakawa.
Thank you, Dave. Look, for me, Tony Storm wins this. There's rumors, and again, rumors at this point that potentially Mariah May is involved, or at some point during this. Given what we kind of heard about that, I mean, do you see? I think you're setting it up for Tony Storm to win as well, but do you potentially see Mariah May, or can we assume that she may be bound to go elsewhere?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Mina's kind of not come out of nowhere. They've built it for over a few weeks. I think Mina as well was involved in the Mercedes match when she lost the New Japan title. So there's different things they could do there, and Mina winning wouldn't be totally out of left field. Um, I just can't. Similar to the Hurt Syndicate, I think when you've got an act so over and doing such good work, I don't know if you saw Tony Storm's vignette on Collision. Uh,
Yes.
very funny, really good. Again, clearly working alongside RJ City, I think, because some of the lines that she's coming out with, she
Oh,
may just be that funny and it's all her own material. But I just love see whenever she's on my screen, whether she's in a match or whether she's backstage or whether she's at the commentary desk. I really enjoy what we're seeing, and I'm not tired of it in any respect, and I don't think I'm not tired of this title run. So I think Tony will retain. Whether we see Mariah, whether there's something because they had like the little they had the trios match, didn't they?
yeah.
You know, they had like a partnership, Maria, Mina, and Tony, and obviously all the fallout from that. So there could be something there that leads to another Mina and Mariah match. But I'll be honest, I kind of didn't think we'd be seeing Maria in AW again. So when those rumors were surfacing about her being a double or nothing, it did catch me off guard a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I think she's posted something. Another one that's posted is the latest signing. Fakira. I can't remember her. I was going to say Shakira. Fakela or something like that. I think she's an Austrian woman that's just going to be signing from AW. She's posted that she's in Arizona, which I believe is where the pay-per-view
Okay.
is. So potentially we see.
Maybe she'll be pictures in the crowd. I can't see her getting involved
Yeah, I don't
physically.
think it would work really, would it? To be honest,
We need
her
to know a
coming.
little bit more about her, don't we, and the fan base in general.
Yeah, I think that is really where we need to be. Bit more of an understanding of who she is. I think sometimes wrestling can be quite thingy with uh, just bringing people in and not having. You remember in the old NXT days where they used to be in the crowd and they used to,
Yeah.
oh, it's this person and this person is this, and you kind of got to know them a little bit, didn't you? I think they
Yeah.
need to do more of that, to be honest. But
Yeah,
both.
that's what I would envision, to be honest, that it would just be a shot in the crowd. Um,
Mm,
just a little bit of an introduction, and then people can get her up on Google, watch some of her matches. Obviously, there'll be mega wrestling fans that
yeah,
know her and know all about her, but I don't, certainly.
no,
So to interject her into a story straight away, I
wouldn't make
don't
sense.
think. No, no.
Certainly wouldn't. Right. FTR versus Garcia and McGuinness. I mean, FTR have got to win this, right?
I think so. I mean, seeing Nigel as a baby face, I know he's a commentator, he's a little bit jarring. Um, yeah, I can't get out of my head that he might turn on Garcia or that something might happen there.
Mhm.
Um, I think FTR certainly have been a little bit revitalized in this heel run. I'm enjoying it, to be honest. I enjoy Stokely as well. I think he's
Yeah.
he's a really great character. Really. annoying, really. But that's great. He's a heat magnet. Um, I don't see any other result in the match than FTR winning. Um, but whether something else comes out the back of it with Nigel. I'm not sure how much Nigel's going to be wrestling, like moving forward. I don't know if it's just going to be on these odd occasions or
Yeah.
whether he does aspirations to get in the ring more regularly. Um, in some ways, a heel Nigel McGuinness c- joining forces with FTR um, would be something that would be quite interesting. Um, well, we'll see, but I'm going in terms of the prediction, mate. I'll go FTR.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. Stretcher match, Briscoe Ricochet. Who's your pick there?
This is the other one that when I said there's a couple of matches. So I don't like stretcher matches or ambulance matches or these type of gimmicky matches, but I'm hoping that this one, given how good Briscoe is, and how much I enjoy his matches and the run that Ricochet's on, I'm hoping that they can have a really good match and they catch me by surprise a little bit. Not in terms of their quality, just in terms of the gimmick. Um, I expect Ricochet to win, and that's my prediction.
Yeah,
But it is one that they could, given the fact that it is a gimmick, they could give Briscoe the win here, and I don't think it massively hurts Ricochet.
yeah,
Um, I think it could have that perception, but I think how they do it, I think Ricochet ultimately comes out of this situation with Briscoe on top, but they might give Briscoe a win here. But yeah, in saying that, Ricochet's my prediction.
Ricochet is also mine, but I do agree that it wouldn't hurt Ricochet if Briscoe
I
did win.
I think the impact it could have for Briscoe would be quite significant. It will keep him at a certain level. There's a feeling at times, he was in the tournaments, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Continental Classics,
Mhm.
and he kind of seemed to be in there to be the guy to be pinned. And I think he's done really well um, over the course of his singles career to at times win matches, or there's been enough element of doubt that when he does win, it's not like it doesn't feel wrong or it doesn't feel like he shouldn't have won or it seemed
Mhm.
undeserving or that he was a massive underdog. So I think by keeping him competitive and giving him the win here really helps him. And I don't think it really upsets Ricochet too much because of his character and because of the fact that he's still this kind of uh he he's doing more and more despicable acts and he's got the scissors and he used the scissors again on Bowens. But he's not the finished article yet. He's going to get more and more angry, more and more frustrated, and a loss to Briscoe could actually help that further development of his character.
Very interesting match indeed tonight. The one after this, Anarchy in the Arena. Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, Willow Nightingale, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Shibata versus John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Maria Shafir, Wheeler Yuta, and the Young Bucks. Number one, who's your pick? Number two, does Jack Perry make his AEW return at this particular match?
I'd forgot about Jack Perry, only because I thought the return would be Eddie Kingston, given the involvement of Gabe Kidd.
Maybe both.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I
and
had,
Gabe Kidd. Yeah.
yeah, so I hadn't thought too much about Jack. Hope so though. I was really enjoying Jack's run prior to him disappearing. Haven't heard much about him since he left.
No.
Yeah, so maybe you got the Darby Allin as well, which
Yes.
I know he, he's still skateboarding down a mountain probably at the minute. Um, but I don't know if he's home and back and recovered enough to be involved at all. So there's a few people that might get involved. I think that the good guys will win. I think, yeah, the Death Riders and the Bucks will get some comeuppance to a degree. But yeah, I'm really intrigued how this goes. I mean, I generally enjoy this match. It's a bit nuts. Whether it's Anarchy in the Arena or whether it was what was it? Stadium
Stadium
Stampede.
Stampede.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I was in the arena, wasn't I, at Wembley when they had one of these matches, and it went a little bit everywhere. And when you're standing in the crowd at times and nothing's going on near you, and you're just watching the screen, it feels a bit weird. But I think on pay-per-view when you're watching it with the commentary as well, it's something a bit different, and I do enjoy it. So I think it will be a good match. I think the good guys will win, and I think we're going to get definitely a return. As you say, though, there could be a few, and Jack Perry could be one of them.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm going for the faces as well. Team Omega on that. But it will be
Yeah.
interesting to see. I know Moxley's going to bleed, right? I mean, if there's
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think they're all going to bleed. I think everyone's going to bleed. I think Excalibur could be bleeding at the end of it through his mask. But with Gabe Kidd, I am right in thinking that that was when Eddie got injured, wasn't it? Was it in that match? Was it against
I
Gabe Kidd?
think so, yeah. But from what I've heard, Gabe Kidd's been pulled from this. He's not going to be there.
Well, he was certainly he was on the poster initially, or he was on
Yeah.
well, he was certainly on one of the graphics that I saw,
Mm.
and it was Omega that wasn't. And then
Yeah.
there was speculation as to why Kenny wasn't going to be in that match, and then there was thought that he may be defending um, his international title
Yeah.
separately from the multi-man match. So I was a little bit surprised that Gabe was dropped from it, but then yeah, when I kind of tweaked that Kingston might be ready for a return. I thought that might be why. Gabe comes out to give the heels the advantage, and then Eddie Kingston comes out to make the save. That's the way I thought it might go. But yeah, with Jack Perry and Darby and a couple of others that could get involved, yeah, it should be a good match.
Will be. It should be
Chaos.
very,
It'll
very
be
much.
anarchy.
It'd be anarchy. Shit
Yeah.
hits the fan. Isn't that what Justin Roberts normally says? During
Yes. Yeah.
it certainly will. Continental Championship on the line. Okada, Mike Bailey. This one's too close to call from me. I think Okada's going to win it, but I still think Speedball. I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if Speedball picked up the win.
No, I would really like that curveball, to be honest. If Speedball won, I think that would be great. My only reservation. They're obviously going for Kenny and Okada
Mm.
all in for me. That
Yeah,
that seems to be like the longer term. They've had a couple of face to faces. There's talk of a unification match with for those titles. So for Okada to drop it, even if he was to quickly retain it or get it back, I'm not sure they would do that. I think Okada's going to win, but I think this is going to be an excellent match, and I think it's going to be some kind of roll up or technical pin, or I think they will do their very best to keep Mike Bailey strong off the back of it because that's what they've done so far with his run in AEW. He's looked really really good. He got the upper hand at the end on Collision, and he caught Okada with a kick, and kind of Okada scarpered. So that makes me suggest that Okada will be the one standing tall at the end of this.
yeah, more than likely so. Trios match: the Paragon, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong versus Don Callis family, Takeshita Fletcher, and Josh Alexander. Again, one that's I think too close to call. I'm going to go with the Callis family though on this one.
Yeah, Callis family for me. I think yeah, I think they need it more, perhaps. It's a shame, really, because I think that Kyle O'Reilly will be eating the pin, and he seems to have done a bit more of that than winning himself in his AEW run.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I can't see the Paragon. I mean, I look at it's Takeshita. I mean, if Roppongi Vice were in there, then I would perhaps think that Paragon would get the victory. But it's their top guys, isn't it? It's
Mm.
Takeshita, it's Josh Alexander, and it's Fletcher. So I think Fletcher probably picks up the pin, and he's going to get it on O'Reilly.
Reckon so. That's well, yeah, I think so. I think you're right on that one. It's a bit like Utah always eating the pin for the Death
Yeah,
Riders a lot, isn't it? On that.
and I don't mind the Paragon. I actually thought Adam Cole did a pretty good job on commentary at Collision. And I don't mind his TNT title run. Um, I don't know if he's necessarily in the position in AEW that I thought he would have been in, particularly when he first entered the company and he was main eventing against Max.
Hmm.
Um, he's very mid card now, and he's in this, and their faces as well, which again, you kind of undisputed era, you think more heel and dastardly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of new territory in some respects for Adam Cole. Um, but I think he'll have a good run as TNT champion. I just don't think his team are going to win this match.
No, me either. We'll find out. And finally, The finals are the men's Owen Hart Hanger versus Osprey. Winner goes on to All In to take on John Moxley for all intents and purposes. Are you going for Osprey in this?
I am, Matt, and we've already said on this podcast that there could be a contender for match of the year with Chad Cable and Elvo Kingo. I think Osprey Hangman could be another one that at the end of the year, when the awards are being given out, when the discussions are being had, I think we'll be going back to earlier on in the year and talking about this match because I'm really excited for this. I don't think it's a formality. I don't think it's definitely Osprey, and there's nothing that can change my mind on that. There's certainly a way that Hangman can win, and it would all make sense. Particularly with what Hangman's gone through and his title runs and his feuds with Moxley and everything else. I think the promo work has been sensational. I really, really enjoyed the exchange on Dynamite between Will and Hangman. It was just, it was something a bit different as well. There was the Will getting the security to
Yeah.
leave, and the drink reference, which he kind of like apologized and, oh no, I didn't mean it like that. And then it got gradually more and more heated, and they both wanted it for similar reasons in some respects. But Osprey saying he just wanted it that little bit more. This is going to be a great match, mate. It's going to be one that you know it will live up to the expectation as well, I think. Um, I really do believe that Will Ospreay is the next AEW World Champion there, and I think he's going to win it at All In, and I think he'll be defending it at Forbidden Door. Um, so for that to happen, he's got to beat Hangman.
He does. Unfortunately, I'm going to go for Hangman on
I
this.
am. Okay.
More selfishly, because I think Will Ospreay should win the AEW World Championship at All In next year. When we're
Okay.
there, as opposed to the Yanks that get everything, so we get it next year. So Osprey, so Hangman will win it. He may go on and beat.
Clean or any.
Ooh, um, it wouldn't surprise me if someone sort of come in and cost him. Like, he's been talking about this whole, if you're released with him, like, don't expect to come over here and stuff like that. Could it even be Gabe Kidd to set up a match at Forbidden Door?
Yeah,
Maybe.
could well be, mate.
They had a
It's
big thing last year.
yeah, yeah. But I just it's like we talk about dream matches and that, and this one's kind of crept up on us to a degree. Because all the talk was like Omega and Okada, and we've had Hangman involved with Swerve for so long, and I know that's been finished for a little while now. But they've both been doing such good work in terms of Osprey and Hangman. But I hadn't really paired them in my own head for like a match against each other, and particularly a match with so much on the line and so much implication for the future of the company. That sounds a bit dramatic, but you feel like the winner of this match is going to be heavily involved at the top of the card for probably the rest of the year. Um, they could go. There was a thought really with the Death Riders story. It was always set up for Darby Allin to come back and
Yeah.
be the one to win the title. I was never like overly convinced about that. I don't know what you thought, but um, I think whoever wins this match will ultimately dethrone Moxley.
Mm.
Um, I don't think if Hangman wins, Moxley beats him at All In. I can't see that. I think if Will wins, he definitely beats Moxley at All In. The only way around that I could see is that if Moxley beats Osprey and they have a rematch at Forbidden Door, which Osprey then wins the title in the UK. But as it's really Japan against AEW, an all AEW main event for the world title doesn't really track for me either. So yeah, I think Osprey is going to win, mate, and I think he's gonna win the belt in Texas.
Well, we will see, and we'll be back tomorrow to do all that. Also, coming up on the show, I am going through the Attitude Era with a member of the Headbangers. Will be coming on. We're going to talk through the
Oscar
Attitude Era.
Thrasher.
Whatever, Chaz, Chaz Crasher.
I think it's Mosh.
who it is. One of them. Anyway, he's
He
gonna
won't be
come.
watching, mate, don't worry.
Yeah, it's all right. He won't be watching. Don't worry. He'll be coming on. We're going to go through the Attitude Era, through their run, which was 96 to 2000. But we'll add a little bit on here and there. That'd be interesting. We'll get Gangrel on as well soon for me and you, Dave. That'll be coming on soon, and a couple of other bits as well. But more importantly than that, we are back tomorrow. Dave, get some sleep, get Double or Nothing watch, and then come and join me same time tomorrow for the review. Well, we'll see you. We hope to see you. But Dave, it's not AEW, so I'm not going to give you that privilege. You can do it tomorrow. So it's my turn to serenade us off the air with the usual buckle down, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.